Most people would agree that over the course of their lifetimes, many things have happened to them. And I want to share with you in this episode how you can affect your mind, how you can affect your thoughts, your emotions, and your perspectives on things to shift it to being supportive for you. Hello, my name is Karen Seltz. You are watching Irresistible You Ignite Your Passion and Purpose. And I'm going to share with you this evening many rapid resolution therapy or RRT perspectives. Now, these have radically shifted the way that I interact with clients and what becomes possible for them. It's unbelievable, just a shift in perspective. And one of the things that our mentor, founder, and teacher, the man who developed this modality, his name is Dr. John Connolly. I'm going to have him on the show. He hasn't found out yet, but I'm going to invite him to be on the show. So watch for that. I will definitely promote it. One of the things he says is that most people look at life like things are happening all the time and things are happening to them. So he's like, I want you to happen to people. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. And it's been becoming very, very clear to me that no matter what I do in a session, as long as my intention is very clear. So when people start telling me what they've been experiencing, automatically my mind starts seeing them how I want them. And I start seeing how they feel, how they think, how they act as a result of moving certain data that got stuck in their minds into long-term storage. And then I do what comes to mind to create it. Now, do I do it perfectly? No. Does it matter? Absolutely not, because my intention is driving it. And that is what creates the result. So what does Dr. Connolly mean by, I want you to happen to people? Well, if you go to any coach or mental health practitioner, let's go with a mental health practitioner, like a therapist or something. If you were to ask them, hey, what's your intention for me for this session or for therapy in general? They would look at you like you're nuts. They are trained to look for what's wrong and to dig like tell me about your childhood, what's going wrong. And they really are curious. They ask curious questions. Now, it might seem like they care. They're actually taught not to care, because if they care about you, they're personally involved. So there's a couple of things I want to point out here that are really interesting. They do not have an intention to create a shift in a session. Their intention is what? To give you more things to think about. And Dr. Connolly pointed out today, I was in a training with him, that the only time we really get introspective usually is when things are going wrong, when we feel bad. And when we dwell on those things, it creates more of them, more things to feel bad about. It's like, the train has left the station and it's the let's feel bad train. And we just follow it. And then the mind goes, boop, boop, boop. And what about this? And you can feel bad about this and this. So it doesn't create a solution. It doesn't create clarity, because your mind is like focused only on this little tiny sliver of what's not working or what you have that's going poorly in your life. So the number one thing that we do in rapid resolution therapy before even going into a session is we have the general intention that the client or participant, we call it, that their mind be thinking only thoughts that are beneficial. Now think about that. Is it beneficial to you to think about what you did wrong? Well, not usually. I mean, unless you're looking at it a certain way, like, what could I have done better? And I still, even there, if you look at what you did well and you build on it, and how can I add to that? How can I make it even better? I promise you're going to feel a lot better than looking for the gap. I promise. Because what you focus on always expands. So if you're looking at the gap's going to look huge. It's like you put that thing up to your face and that's all you could see. So the generalized intention, back to that the client thinks only thoughts that are beneficial about things that are possible to do and good to have done. So there's a lot in there. I'm going to break down each part. Possible to do means you can't do anything about something that happened in the past. So thinking things like, I wish I would have done this instead, is a waste of your energy and your resources. Now, the other part of this is you don't control your thoughts. No matter what people say, like, you need to think more positively. If you could, you would. So that's like another self beat up mechanism. It just doesn't work. And you might hear a lot of self help gurus say these things like, think more positively, do this, do this. And we're going to go into a lot of this in this episode. So stick with me. You're going to get a lot of grace for yourself because you do not control your thoughts. And I'm going to explain it all. So you think only thoughts that are beneficial about things that are possible to do. That means they haven't happened yet. So no shoulda, woulda, coulda, nothing about the past, and thinking things should have been different, that someone else should have behaved differently, or why did this happen, or that's not fair. All those things are not useful. And this part of the mind, the unconscious mind, let's break that down really fast. So the subconscious or unconscious mind is responsible for much everything. So all the autonomic and automatic functions in your body. So your breathing, your digestion, like everything that happens in your body without you thinking about it. Like you breathe in and your body absorbs the oxygen. You breathe out, it removes toxins, right? You don't think about that usually, right? You eat something, you're not thinking, oh, the saliva and the enzymes are breaking down this food. Like you just don't think about that. You cut yourself, it heals. You get a scab and it heals always, right? You don't think about, wow, my body's healing, but it is constantly healing. When you think about it healing, it speeds up the process because what you focus on expands. All right. So things that are possible to do and things that are good to have done. I love this one. I think about, if you've ever had any issues with food, would it be good to eat a chocolate cake? Maybe. Would it be good to have done it? Of course not. It would feel terrible afterward. I use hot yoga as an example a lot. Would it be good to do it? Not always. It's freaking uncomfortable. It's really hard. I fall out of poses a lot. I'm super gross and stinky. I'm boiling. It's really uncomfortable. I don't always love doing it. Does it feel good to have done it? Almost always. Almost always I'm like, so glad I did that. And I'm so glad it's over, right? So things like addiction, if you talk to anybody who's in a 12-step recovery program, would it be good to drink one drink of alcohol? Maybe. It might feel really good at the time. Would it be good to have done it? Probably not, because there would be a lot more to follow. If you're really an addict, an alcoholic, you're going to not have one drink. It's impossible, right? So would it be good to have had that first drink? Of course not, because you can see where it leads. And in 12-step, they actually teach this phrase, which I love, follow that drink to the end. So if you're craving and you're thinking, oh, maybe I'll just have one, follow it. What happens if you have one? Then you're going to have you'd be loosened up. You're like, oh, I can have one more. And then you have another one. Then what happens? And then what happens? And then you drive drunk and you get a ticket or you kill someone or whatever. Like you follow it and you're right back. You're back to that addict behavior. So what we do in these sessions, we update your mind to be able to think ahead, like what will happen if I pick up my phone and just to check Facebook, because there's a number on it at 10 p.m. What will happen? Well, for me personally, I'll be on there. Then I'll switch to Instagram and check there and TikTok and YouTube. I'll check all the places where I post things. And then I'll be looking at other people's and an hour goes by. So I know that. So now my mind is like, do you really want to check that? Is it really important to check it right now? What will happen if you check it? What's more important, checking that number or going to sleep right now, getting the right amount of sleep, nourishing your body? So your mind will update to those things. And then what's super cool is it starts attaching interest, appeal, and pleasure in doing those things that might not be that much fun to do, like running, starting an exercise program, starting a diet. Anything new is not pleasant to do it. It doesn't mean it's bad for you. It means you haven't done it yet. You don't have the pathways in your brain. So then your mind actually begins to create pleasure because it can foresee how you're going to feel afterward. So that's how we begin our sessions. Here's another big thing is we are 100% responsible for your results. I never give anybody any homework. I give them audios, like if they want to listen to them and reinforce what we learned, great. It's my job to cause a shift. You don't have homework. It's not my client's responsibility to create the shift for them. And because I am that strong in it, and it's my responsibility, I'm committed to creating a shift. And that is what I say up front. Like, it is my intention that this meeting have great value for you, meaning I want you to be happy with it. And I want you to be satisfied over time. That's what I'm intending. That's what I'm expecting. That is what I am responsible for causing. And because I do that, I have great power to create it. If I wasn't responsible, I'd be like, he's not doing the work. Look at her. She's just slacking over there. Like, my mind would do all kinds of things. It'd be creating all kinds of back doors. Like, well, of course it didn't work for her. She didn't do this thing or whatever. None of that happens with a trained RRT practitioner. Like, that does not happen. Like, if somebody doesn't shift, here's what I do. I say, I did not have the skill in order to create that shift. And now I actually will offer people another session. If they didn't get a shift, if they're not satisfied, and I do measure it, if they are not satisfied, I'm going to offer them another session, and I'm going to eat the cost because it is my responsibility to cause a shift. It's nobody else's. Now, that having been said, there are certain things I will not do a certain one session for anymore. I've learned my lesson. I lack the skill. I'm not that good yet. If somebody has anxiety, I'm like, 3 sessions, that's my minimum. But if you think about a therapist, they're going to say, oh, you're going to be coming for 2 years. So I laugh at that now because there are many things that I will do 1 session for, like insomnia, for example, or like any type of traumatic memory that keeps coming up, or like sexual trauma, grief. Often 1 session is all it takes. I'll definitely take that all day long. But anxiety, for some reason, there's like a deeper hook in there. So for me personally, I'm like, I'm not going to do it for 3 sessions because I don't have the skill. That's it. It's not anybody else's responsibility to change quicker. It's mine. But I let them know that up front now. But I learned the hard way. I'm like, okay. And I was talking to Dr. Connolly, like, what is it with this one particular thing? Like, any other thing so far, I've been like, oh, 1 or 2 sessions were good. Anxiety, I've done like maybe 3 or 4 people that had extreme anxiety and expected, I think I must have overpromised a result, and they didn't get that result in 1 session. And so they were unsatisfied. So now I'm like, I'm not promising that. If they do 3 and it doesn't work, then we'll do more on my dime, or I'll give them their money back, whatever they prefer. So, soapbox. What's the difference between a rapid resolution therapy practitioner or session and a mental health session? Well, number 1, intention. We have an intention. And as people are speaking, we go beyond that generalized intention. So if somebody has social anxiety, we see them in a variety of social situations, feeling good and having fun, enjoying life, and thinking about the other person, listening, like doing all these things, right? Instead of thinking about, oh, what are they thinking about me? Or, oh my gosh, my body's reacting. So I see their nervous system regulated, them having access, because if you are in a fight or flight situation, if you're activated, you don't have access to your logical mind. So I talked about the subconscious mind is responsible for, well, I started to, 95% of everything you think, feel, believe, and do. And then all the autonomic functions, right? So it does tons of things really beautifully for you. One thing it doesn't do well is integrate with the conscious mind. They just don't integrate well. And I tell my clients, I'm like, the only thing wrong with your mind is you got a human one. Like, sorry, I hate to break it to you, you're human. And a lot of the things that are dysfunctional are normal. Like everybody expects it. So another thing about, therapists, they are trained to think that things should be going well. Everything should be going well, that's normal. And we're trained to think the opposite. If things are going well, that's such an anomaly. If everything's going well for someone, that's an anomaly. That's not normal. Now, we do say that certain patterns in the brain are dysfunctional. They're normal and they're dysfunctional. So we seek to improve them. We seek to move and remove the clogs, the data blocks. And that's all it is. So when something difficult or traumatic happens to you or to anyone, the mind stores it in high definition. So you can probably remember way more than you want to, every single detail. And it also creates an imprint. So think about if you were at the beach and you put your hand in the sand and you pull it out, you can see your hand mark, right? In the sand. So it creates those imprints in like a snapshot, and it stays in your mind. And then as you're going through life, just going through life, there's your subconscious mind. It's constantly scanning the environment. If it finds anything that reminds it of any of those snapshots, and if you've had a lot of these difficult or traumatic events, there are tons of those little snapshots, and it's a lot of clutter in there. So kind of what we do is like Marie Kondo for the mind. Like we move everything that does not spark joy. We put it into long-term storage in a file cabinet in the basement where it's no longer affecting you. So the mind's not finding so many things triggers, right? So certain things trigger you, like, why do I feel this way? Why am I reacting this way? If you ever have those moments where your response or your reaction does not really match the situation, you can rest assured you have like something stuck in there. And it's not a big deal. Once you shine a light, that's a flashlight, by the way. Once you shine a light on it and the subconscious mind gets it, that this is no longer happening. And there are different techniques we use in order to create that awareness within your subconscious mind. Once it gets it, there's like a full body exhale, like, oh, I don't have to hold that. Now, the purpose of a disturbing emotion, the only purpose, or a physiological sensation, an impulse in the body, like, oh, I gotta have a drink, whatever it is, or you get angry or fearful, the only purpose of that is your subconscious mind is trying to motivate an action. It wants you to take an action to not get hurt. Now, here's the disconnect, right? Your conscious mind can remember things. And like if I say, remember your last shower, okay, remember what it felt like to breathe in that warm, moist air. Now, remember what it felt like to feel the water on your body. You can remember all that, but yet you're not confused. You don't think that's happening right now. When you remember something traumatic, this part of the mind, the subconscious mind, that 95%, it doesn't know time. So it thinks it's happening right now. And when it thinks something bad or difficult or traumatic is happening right now, its only job is to make sure you survive it. The other thing, it's super primitive. It's not smart like this part. So it doesn't know the difference between somebody, you getting yelled at and a lion chasing you. They're both the same. So it's reading the data like you have to escape this predator. Now, fear is an emotional and physiological response to a perceived threat. So as a child, if a parent yells at you, you're going to feel fear. Now, fear, what it does to the body is it makes your legs really strong so you can run away and escape the predator, right? That's it. Your arms get strong too because animals have 4 legs. So our arms are like legs, right? It also does something with your vision to kind of widen the visual field so you can find an escape route. It may cause a freeze response, which is like hide from the predator. And as a child, those are the big ones because you're not big enough to fight off a predator. So anger usually comes, it might come early, but it might come later. So anger, again, is an emotional and physiological response to a perceived threat. Now, remember, we have this conscious mind, and it's not really on board when you are angry or afraid. this part like checks out. In order to ensure your survival, your subconscious mind takes over. So when you're angry, what happens to you physiologically? Your face might get red, your jaw tight, your jaw gets really strong. You might be making fists so you can punch somebody. Anger means you're physiologically ready to attack the threat. So when your jaw gets strong, so you can bite someone really hard and tear flesh, which you're probably not going to do. And your arms get strong so you can punch somebody. When you don't do those things, which hopefully you don't, what happens to your body? All that stays in there, and it produces more corresponding thoughts that feed the anger loop. Oh yeah, and then this thing, and then this, and oh my gosh, did you see the way he disrespected me? Or whatever it is. The thoughts produce emotions and they correspond, and they create this loop. And your mind doesn't know when to shut it off. So you can stay in that stress response for hours, weeks, months. And that means that a lot of your energy is going toward fixing something that is not happening anymore. And it cannot be fixed because it's over. But this part of the mind doesn't get the message that it's over because everything is now. So when it gets that message, there's and then all of that energy that's been being used to fix all those problems that cannot be fixed can then be harvested and used to create the future that you want, to heal your body, to access your creativity, your passion, your humor, your compassion, your joy, whatever, like all the good things, right? You could access your conscious mind. You can come up with creative solutions. You can see possibility. Whereas if you're in survival, you cannot. Now, the other thing is pain, physical pain. Your body, your subconscious mind has no desire to cause you pain. It doesn't want you to be in pain. The only purpose of a pain signal is to get you to take an action to not get dead sometime in the past. So once it gets that you survived it, it stops sending the pain signal. It's just a dysfunction, and it's super easy to clear up. So I'm saying all this because there are a lot of different perspectives that we share. And I want to talk about thinking too. So a lot of people think, oh, why did that happen? Or that shouldn't have happened, or that wasn't fair. And we believe in cause and effect. So if something happened, it couldn't have not happened. It was inevitable that it happened because something caused it, and something caused that, and something caused that, which made it inevitable that that thing was going to happen. So if you made a choice, let's say my first marriage. So I'm on the altar and I'm like, oh crap, all these people are here. And my ex-husband like burped, and he was like, he ate a dill pickle before our wedding, like a garlic dill pickle. And he burps this like garlic burp in my face. And I'm like, oh gosh, this is what I'm in for the rest of my life. Like, this is how much he thinks ahead, right? Now, he couldn't have not eaten the pickle, but at the time I didn't know that, right? I was young. And at that time, I'm like, do I really want to marry him? Do I know him well enough? Because I didn't know him that well. But I did it anyway. And I couldn't have not married him because my next thought was like, there's all these people here, right? Like, like, what am I going to do? Am I going to just run? Like, what do I do? I didn't see any options. So I couldn't have not. And what led me to the altar was a whole string of thoughts. Like, I'm in love. It was love at first sight, whatever it was. So anything that you've been judging yourself for, thinking, gosh, I really screwed that up, I want you to let yourself off the hook, because there were a whole string of thoughts that happened that created that behavior. And they couldn't have not happened up until now, right? Like everything that's happened, whether it be Charles Manson or a certain political leader being elected, it couldn't have not happened. So where we get to have fun is in this moment. Now what? Now what? So we can affect the future, like what's going to happen now by moving this data, especially in creating a blank slate. Then you can be free to create without the worry about, oh, what are people going to think? Oh, what will happen if I fail? I mean, you might have that thought. You're definitely going to experience fear if it's something you've never done before. That's normal. We normalize the fear. We act anyways because fear is going to happen. You have a human brain that's designed to protect you. You're going to feel fear, especially if you haven't done something before. There are ways to interact with that fear that make it much easier to walk through it. Again, updating your mind to thinking thoughts that are beneficial about things that are possible to do and good to have done. Yeah, this thing scares the crap out of me, but would it be good to have done? Oh yeah, of course it would. I would feel really good if I did it, regardless of the result. So that's another thing, is we help you let go of the attachment to the result and to feel good with the effort. So there's all kinds of like little nuances that we use and many perspectives that we share that are super duper useful. And for me, they have changed my life 100%. If there were a higher number than 100%, I would pick it. But, I'm kind of a math nerd. so I'm not going to play like, oh, it's 1,000%. Like, no, I don't do that. So if you are curious about rapid resolution therapy, please reach out to me. There is a new class coming up. Oh my gosh. If you love this stuff, first, I would say go to one of Dr. Connolly's free events called Solutions. Look up rapidresolutiontherapy.com. And if you like it, book a session with somebody. Book one with me. I love this stuff. I have a very good track record. It's amazing. I tell people, like, every session I do, I am absolutely blown away at the results. I'm like, I can't believe how well this works and how quickly it works. It is unbelievable. But that's, again, it's intention, like setting that intention, seeing people how I want them, and then just trusting my mind to create it. Like, do whatever comes to mind to create it. It works almost every time, with the exception of those couple sessions, single sessions I did for anxiety, right? And then if you're interested in getting trained to be a rapid resolution therapy facilitator, please let me know. I have an affiliate link that will get you a 25% discount on the upcoming training. So please reach out to me and I will link some things in the show notes. So thank you so much for watching. If you got benefit from this, please like it, comment, and share it with somebody that you think could use a new perspective. All right, thank you so much for watching Irresistible You, Ignite Your Passion and Purpose. Again, I'm Karen Seltz, and it has been my pleasure to be with you.